Great viewers, you're welcome to your darling station again, the Living Television. We are back again on today's program of Nigeria Today. Nigeria Today, we're going to look at some issues and topical issues as it affects our country here, Nigeria, and our various states. Today, as usual, I have discussants who you will enjoy listening to, and also you will also make your contributions when the time comes. When we open our phone lines, you can always call in, make your contributions, or ask questions, as it concerns the issues at hand. Right, from my far left today, I have Honorable Tony Agbanyem. Honorable Tony Agbanyem is one of the, those who kick-started this democratical setting we are enjoying today, and also one-time legislator in the then Aba North local government area. He is also a media person and a public affairs analyst. Honorable Tony, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you, Prof, for having me. Appreciate you, our viewers.
After him, I have Comrade Nnamdi Lekwachi. Comrade Nnamdi Lekwachi, he is a political affairs analyst, a public affairs analyst, and also a historian. Nnamdi, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me and for welcoming me. Good day, our viewers.
Yes, just like we discussed partly yesterday in our issues of the moment. Today, since after the adoptions, a man will say the three wise men, that is Obasanjo, Edwin Clark, and
Ayo Adebanjo.
That's it. He said they are the three wise men. Since after that, the adoption, there've been a lot of comments, both for and against. Especially was that of from the presidency that seriously attacked Obasanjo. We did justice to that yesterday, but today the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peterobi, said through Brekete family that he's the only presidential candidate contesting who built business from the scratch, not even in Nigeria, but in the Western world. Obi said before he left the United Kingdom, he had the highest of credit, and if anybody wants or cares, he will show him letters from the Prime Minister and the Queen, that is Queen Elizabeth, of England, where Queen Elizabeth personally wrote to him, telling him that they are happy with this kind of business in the United Kingdom. And that is automatically means his business was very legit and not drug or whatever. And then Obidobi said he will lead Nigeria to greatness through his wealth of experience in public and the private sector if elected the president of this country. Let me start with you, comrade. You're a historian. Are you aware of these aspects of the letter written to him by the Queen then?
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much. I wouldn't have been aware because I am not a close associate. I came across that in the media, just like I know all of us did. Yes, but it speaks to something, and what is that? You see, in election or during selection of leadership, or let me say leadership recruitment, you should look for people with character, with integrity, with antecedent, with record, with known and proven track record. And what Peter Obi did is just what he's supposed to do, to market himself, to tell you where he started from, how he started, his humble beginning in the Western world, and how he was able to do legitimate businesses there, to the extent that he got a letter of credit from the Queen, from the Prime Minister, and then from other relevant authorities. And then recently there have been issues where the spokespersons and then the heads of other aspirants have come out to attack his educational qualification. Some said he had third class, some said he was not qualified, some said he was the least read among the other aspirants. There are 4 out of the 18, there are 4 major aspirants, and then within the 4, you also have the 3 contenders who are still tied today. Yes, who are still tied today as we have it. And then we've seen forecasts, we've also seen projections, and then predictions from various groups, agencies, even rating agencies. Today it is either Peter Obi, tomorrow it is Atiku, the next day it is Bola Tinubu. It tells you how this election is going to be tough because they are all tied. So each of these candidates should actually come out and begin to tell us their credentials, begin to tell us about their qualifications, begin to tell us about how they were able to build business empire or a corporate establishment or work for a government office or anywhere and then excelled in that field or in that endeavor. I remember what one elder statesman said. The man I'm talking about now is Afik Balola. Afik Balola said just last week that any person who aspires to lead this country at this critical time must be someone whose character is known, who has worked somewhere or done businesses somewhere, and who paid his taxes, and who can present his papers and documents. So I should expect others to come up. I don't want to talk in such a way that it will appear as if I'm trying to demarcate, you understand, other candidates. But if you look at other challenges that we have, you see their records, especially in abroad. Their records in abroad, just like people is trying to now showcase, exhibit the way pheasants or the way peacocks exhibit or even talking exhibit their feathers. You understand? People is trying. Yes, he's trying to exhibit himself now. The record of some of these candidates abroad are vague. We've heard about we've heard things about drug. We've heard things unconfirmed report to whether proven or not proven. We've heard things about drug, about including how they were able to set up phony companies to siphon wealth. So it is very, very needful that every candidate comes out now to tell the electorate, this is who I am. This is what I was able to do before I joined politics. You understand? The other day, Tinubu was asking Atiku Abubakar, tell us the source of your wealth, how you were able to make money. Atiku was saying, I stopped you from peddling drugs into the country. All these things are just banters, they are threats. So it's better they tell us about their background, what they were able to build.
Yeah, Honorable, do you think the letter written to peterobi by the Queen and the admonition he got or incoming from the Prime Minister then is enough or will help in this contest?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, if a British citizen is contesting an election, I've not heard about any letter from anybody across the globe, whether from the Pope or from the Bishop of Canterbury or from the Oni of Ife or Beyond for the Child. Yes. So the cocoa of the matter is the electors within that environment. You know, so we will not measure their credentials or their qualification or their acceptability by the letters written by anybody. We're talking about the man we know, the man who told us to go and verify all he says. And doing that, known him front and back, told us his academic qualifications, his family background, business background. You know, while in government, all of us saw peterobi. Peterobi is the only governor in the history of Nigeria, at least since 1999. I don't think I've ever had or saw any live television broadcast where we heard about groundbreaking of road construction, commission of any road construction, road constructed, a hospital or whatever, any infrastructure. You know, so we knew everybody. So the letters written by or anybody leaving this country to Britain to visit British government officials, and people are asking. I'm also asking, what have these people got to do with what we're doing here? So, good and fine, good international recommendation, good international recognition. But what I'm saying is that we know everybody. Nobody here is, came from the moon. We know Atiku very well. We know his antecedents, where he's coming from. You know, he has been a custom officer, and we know the history of a Nigerian custom officer. You know, we know Jagaba, Tinubu very, very much, what he did in Lagos, and how, they gave us photocopies instead of the original true situation in Lagos, where the global community is saying that Lagos is the second worst city to live in. And somebody is going around Nigeria and he's telling us that this place that is rated as the one of the worst cities to live in is what he will replicate, if he becomes president. And we've seen here a man who governed a state for 8 years, never owned a house anywhere, He's not pension. Nobody pays him any pension anywhere. Never left the government house with a vehicle tire. You know, doesn't live in government house. You know, was very conservative when he was a governor. Left, you know, a huge amount of billions of naira and dollars, and nobody's talking about the monies he embezzled or the monies he borrowed. People are now castigating him for leaving money in the bank, billions of naira and millions of dollars in the bank, monies he left. And they are saying, oh, monies you could have used to develop Anambra, you invested in
or fight hunger.
And Anambra people are not complaining because peterobi opened everywhere. Ngige started that process and he came and improved largely on it. And today, it is a challenge staring on anybody who is going to become the governor of Anambra State. So we know ourselves.
All right, there would have been more questions because your answers and your comments on this is supposed to elicit more, questions. But because of our time, let us move on. If we have time, we'll come back to it. President Muhammadu Buhari said he had fulfilled all his campaign promises. He said he would leave office as a fulfilled man. Interesting indeed. Comrade, let me start with you.
Yes.
We all are Nigerians and we've all lived here. So yesterday you talked about the 3 cardinal points.
Yes.
So and he's now telling Nigerians that they have fulfilled all his campaign promises.
Yes, like I said yesterday, it is still laughable when I was talking about the exchange between him and between the presidency and the former President Olusegun Obasanjo. This one is also laughable, in fact, more laughable than the one of yesterday. And why am I saying that? You see, like I did mention, I said there were 3 pronged areas that formed the campaign plank of President Muhammadu Buhari then in 2014. And those were security, economy, and corruption. Now, if you look at these 3 pronged areas, you see that abysmally, in fact, we have done badly. If you look at the economy, I hear talk about debt. That we are indebted. We are owing now 77 trillion naira. That is what the incoming administration will be working with. Now, I say here that without planning, in fact, the worst thing President Muhammad Buhari did, the way he mismanaged the economy was staying 6 months after election without a team, without any economic team, without a team anywhere. You understand? The nation was going adrift and the president was busy going from one country to the junketing around without a team, no advice, nothing. Now the indication was that as he took over, inflation started rearing its ugly head. Today, inflation is 21.09%. The budget assumption of 2023 is pegging inflation at 17%. A lot of things have happened, and we see that the economy has performed badly. The administration that aims to lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty ended up throwing more millions into poverty. And I explained that I said in 2018, Brookings Institution said 88 million Nigerians were poor. Brookings Institution, we can say, okay, fine, this is an international agency of its own. Today, the National Bureau of Statistics, that the NBS, our own bureau, is saying that 133 million Nigerians are multidimensionally poor. Multidimensionally poor means they are educationally advantaged, economically, everyone to get it. Now, if you subtract 88 million from 33 million, that is about 45. It means that President Muhammadu Buhari, under his word, 45 million Nigerians slumped under poverty. That is clear. Now, let's even forget about that one. Now, come to think of security. The area we said a retired general can do better. He has not fared any better. The other day we were talking about the train attack. You understand? It has happened before in Kaduna. Now it has come down south. You want to talk about corruption, where in fact we've witnessed an official of government under his watch dip his hand into the coffers and looted 109 billion naira. Even as of yet, only 30 billion naira has been covered from him, and he's still at large. No prosecution, nothing has happened. Are we even to talk about the issue of 206 billion naira inserted into the budget through the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Control, and whatever? So you begin to ask yourself the question: what has happened to economy? What has happened to corruption? In fact, as we speak now, if the indices are there, and they became worse after this man. I said here that the ways and means advances of the CBN, the money we were owing CBN under the time was around 700 and something billion naira or 900 something billion naira. But under Buhari, it became 22 trillion naira. And he is saying today that it should be securitized. What is he saying? He's saying that the debt outlook should be spread to cover a period of 40 years. He is 80 years old, mind you. And he's talking about my children and my children's children partaking in paying the debt. And it's not just only that. Now we are even owing IMF, we owe Exim, China Export and Exim Import Bank, we owe AFDB, that's African Development Bank, we owe even Arab groups, we are owing and we are indebted. And I'm saying 77 trillion naira is what the next administration is going to start with. So how can that administration not start by getting off to a bad start? So to me, if he says he's leaving Nigeria fulfilled, he alone knows what he means by that statement, because he is the same person who said all the promises we are now reminding him of were the promises of APC, not his own personal promise. So to me, that is what it has always been.
All right, Honorable, I think one of the major things he promised without talking about them was change. And maybe if he's saying he's fulfilled, he's a fulfilled man as he's living as of all this year, 2023, that is fulfilled. That is to say that he has effected the change he promised to Nigerians. And what's your take on that?
No, I'll change, actually. Let's take it from there. The man came and promised us change. No doubt about it. His records changed. He contested the election for the first time. The only person to contested the presidency 4 good times. 3 times, the 4th one, he won. So his CV changed. His wife has never been a first lady, or probably, in a civilian administration. That is also changed. The fortunes of his family changed. And I know that the 200 cars he has owned since 2003, he's like contesting the presidency, in a democratic setting. I think it may have increased to probably either 400 or more. That's also changed. His cronies, his friends, that's one thing that goes with Buhari, that's one thing I like about him. His friends, he pulls his boys along. And virtually from Malami down to Garba-Shehu, definitely their fortunes has changed. If you look at the economic situation of the country, you can see where we are today. Buhari came here and a liter of kerosene was sold at less than 100 naira. Today it's 1,000 naira. That is changed. Buhari came here and we made dollar at 100 something naira. And today, dollar is overlooking 1,000. That is changed. Buhari came, a loaf of bread was about 300 naira or so. Today it's overlooking 1,500 or 2,000. Buhari came here and, we thought that Boko Haram is just a child's play. I think that can be, just into the bush the next day. Today, they are now everywhere. So, what are you talking about? Buhari came here and people we are jittery about stealing, people we are shaking. Everyone was afraid. Even one of the former governors who all of us know very well that turned himself into a woman and ran back from London. When Buhari took over, the man got afraid and died of hypertension. And at the end of the day, if the dead can come back to life, the man would have regretted why he gave himself that prayer, because nothing would have happened. So what are we saying? Buhari has definitely achieved a lifetime record, and that is changed. So nobody should blame him. And he's saying that we should continue in that time. That the man they call Jagaba will continue with his legacy. So it is less for all of us to choose between the deep blue sea and the devil. So
okay, comrade, talking about a fulfilled person, and when the change as narrated by all, they are all in the negative. Yeah. Then what is fulfillment about that?
Yes, that was why I said he alone understands or understood that assumption of being fulfilled. Yes, he is the one who claimed to have to fulfill, and he alone can actually explain. But yes, he will be living a fulfilled man, because once he tried the presidency in 2003, he failed. Mm-hmm. The second time, 2007, he failed. 2011, he failed and cried at the national television. We saw him cry, where he said he will no longer be a contestant, but his attempts to become the president have been foiled because he was pitying the Nigerian poor, and he was assuming a pro-poor status that very day. He was crying. Some of us nearly cried with him. And then 2015, we saw the political permutation change and it favored him. He emerged. So he has lived his ambition. He has actually accomplished something the great people like Awolowo could not accomplish, to be the president of this country for one day. And he's been the president of this country and was also re-elected and returned as same. So that's a fulfillment for him. But if you look at the indices, like I have said, there is nothing fulfilling about that. The economy is not even. In fact, he even contradicted himself. Today's paper, he is saying the person who is coming, the next administration should be prepared for the worst. I'm putting him now. He said the next administration should prepare for the worst. So if he had been able to set the nation on the right motion or on the right path, we wouldn't be saying this. He would be. In fact, we know when leaders, like I said before, when Franklin Delano Roosevelt came to America after the Great Depression, we saw how he changed America for good through social intervention and the rest of them. But look at the social intervention President Muhammadu Buhari, the SIPs he has introduced. You will see that some persons are just hijacking and looting the federal and looting the treasury. You understand? Why on earth will we have the vice president go into marketplaces, go into work, sharing 10,000 naira? And what does that translate to? Under this dispensation, we were told by the Minister of Transport or the Minister of Transport for State that was it not for subsidy today? Was it not for subsidy? A liter of petrol was supposed to be sold at 400 and something naira. Today they claim to be subsidizing the product, and they say they will be ending. Now see the irony, they will be ending subsidy by this May, meaning after his government subsidy ends, then the next administration will start off on a rough note. Now see, today we are buying the product for over 400 naira. It means the subsidy has failed, and he even said he has ended subsidy, called it under recovery payment. NNPC became the only seller of the product. So where are we today? If we are to review this very government, you see, the only thing I understood was that he was trying to build infrastructure to the extent that we had infrastructure credit. He was given to the likes of Dangote, Buhari company, and the rest of them to do roads. But if you look at it critically, you see that not even something significant was done than the military days. Babangida built the mainland bridge. I can begin to tell you things, even built by Abacha, built by Babangida. But you don't need to ask yourself, what have we even achieved?
All right, what have we even achieved? Before we go on, let us look at the national chairman of Zenith Labour Party, Dan Awanyanwu, on Tuesday, said that the new cash withdrawal limit policy by the Central Bank of Nigeria was a strategy to check vote buying in the forthcoming general elections. Honorable, I'm starting with you. Talking about, does it mean that the essence of this withdrawal limit policy was meant to checkmate vote buying? Will it stop it?
Yes, definitely it's going to check it. But to the best of my knowledge, I don't think it's a coincidence. The issue of currency change or printing or whatever is a global practice. It's done in certain climes. It's done every 5 years.
Yes.
And this is taking 20 years. We've not done that. So it's kind of coincided, and eventually the evil-minded ones got trapped, and they now believe that they are the target. But be that as it may, definitely it's going to check vote buying, because the days of carrying liquid cash around is over, and you can't buy vote by transfer. Those of us are there in the field, it's a cash and carry affair. This time around, you don't even have enough to take care of yourself, on top of going out there to buy votes. So it is, and that is why the gladiators, the political gladiators, are very charged. They are very angry, particularly those that are in the practice of doing that. You can see the chase around of the CBN governor over Trump charges, charges that are very funny. Things that you would think they happened in the dream. That the chief banker of the nation is now a terrorist sponsor. The man is now under hiding because it's like, just like a president is marking time, he's no longer in charge. Some of the head of security agencies are now marshalling out their own plans. Emefiele has been missing from the public glare for some time, because even though the courts has given court judgment and orders quashing the demand of the security agencies to pick him up over these charges. Yet, they are still going around trailing him, trying to sponsor all kinds of campaigns and all against him. You ask yourself, who is sponsoring these people? What is the sin this man has committed? What is wrong in electronic transfer? Is it not to secure your life and my own? For some time now, nobody keeps money in the house. Nobody boggles anybody's house any longer. The boys that goes at night, breaking people's houses, robbery and all that, it has definitely drastically reduced. Reduced. Before this time, it has been a senseless thing because people keep money in the house. You can see a trader in the market who will, at the end of the day, comes home with 500,000 naira or more. But today, nobody goes home. If you're going back to the house, just go about 5,000 naira or so. Just buying foodstuffs, then you do a transfer to them, and if the person gets a lot, you go home with your goods. So I don't think anything wrong in the monetary policy, but it coincided. I don't know whether Providence planned it that way. They may not have known what they are doing, and eventually now it coincided. So you can see also what is going on with the INEC chairman. They've also thrown up all kinds of charges against him. He declared false access, whatever, on the code of conduct file he filled while taking over office. All those things. What offense has the man committed? Because he brought a system that will change the old order, where we will now be competing with the global world in terms of electioneering, and it now became a sin. What they now want is for us to continue in that analog, primitive practice of result writing. You can't imagine those kind of things. That's the kind of politicians and leaders we have here. But I know the time has come.
All right, comrade, don't you think that even if they are serious with this vote buying, now we still have few days to the day of the election? I don't know, a month or thereabout.
45 days.
Okay, now don't you think that they can also be getting this money, picking it on daily basis, and be holding it, waiting for that?
Yes.
How much can you pay?
You see, we are in a country where we cannot deny anything. Yes, I love the analysis by Honorable, and because the other day, I remember the CBN deputy governor appeared before the House of Reps, and he was grilled for hours, and they asked her whether the redesigned policy of the Naira note was politically motivated. She said flatly there, it was not politically motivated, that the monetary policy has been there since 10 years, and they felt and they thought it wise now to implement it. And then where I have here is that even at that, the money is still scarce in circulation. That's where I'm having fear now. And with the deadline coming in a few days time, just in 20 days time now, I think in 20 days time we'll be saying bye-bye or saying goodbye to the old notes. Now, the challenge is that the money is not yet in circulation, because if you know the value of money is availability. It's one of the values of money. It must be available, that if you are doing transaction with a bus conductor, a market woman, an artisan, a barber, they can give you change in that currency. But that's by the way. But we've seen a clip where a politician, one of the frontline aspirants, brought out this money and gave to a person with disability in a town hall meeting. And he speaks to something. I was asking myself, and I'm talking about something that happened last year, and I was asking myself, this is the money that not quite everybody has. How can this man, I'm talking about the same politician in whose house we saw 2 billion vans. So I was now asking myself, how can we be sure some of these politicians, not only him, including all of them, how can we be sure that they are not hoarding this money? Why is this money scarce? And why is it that the CBN cannot account for the amount it printed or it minted? It speaks to something. So I think it's something that should be done to cater for everybody, the poor, the rich, everybody in the system or in the country. Not something you begin to have scarcity. And so I think there are areas, although some say it may be strategic, to make the money scarce so that the politicians can not easily find or access them. But here is Nigeria. We are seeing a lot of things happen now. Politicians are also trying to devise means of even truncating the process.
All right. Viewers, we're going to go on a very short break. When we come back, Nigeria Today continues. Remember, you can always call us in now. The phone lines are open, 091-682-84994. I'll take it again, 091-682-84994. You can call us, and as soon as we come back from this break, and then make your contributions or ask your questions. Until then, keep watching Living TV. We'll be back shortly.
And so you can keep on watching Living TV. I can say in pidgin English. Living TV. Unade Kampe.
Living TV, bringing the word first to you.
Allow me to enjoy myself. Allow me,
Have you heard that Living Television, the latest satellite station on SatView channel, is received all over Nigeria and Africa? You can watch Living Television on every free-to-air HD decoder, including Strong HD and CSAT HD. Why keep paying for monthly subscriptions when you can have fun for free? With Living Television, you can watch lots of wrestling, football, documentaries, and Nigerian films, including discussions and debates on current Nigeria issues. Watch free live matches on La Liga Spain come Serie A, Italy come Bundesliga, German League 1, and French matches on over 80 premium channels. Wow! You can also sponsor your programs such as live church services and crusades, political rallies, burial and wedding ceremonies, promotional interviews, announcements, advertisements, documentaries, and commercials. We are situated at number 1 Judges Street off Ikorebane Road, Aba, Abia State. For further enquiries, call 0805 367 3900. Signed, Management.
allow me,
I'm glad you're still there watching your darling station, the Living Television. We are on it. We are talking about issues of the moment, the current affairs, what happens in this country and in our various states. And I'm sure you are enjoying the program. You can call in. We've given you the phone number 091-684-684-994. Sorry, I take it again. 091-682-84994. You can call us and make your contributions or ask questions. As you call, tell us where you're calling from and your name. All right, away from that, the federal government, through the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, has assured Nigerians yesterday that elections will hold as scheduled next month and nothing will stop it. Yes, comrade, let me start with you. That is the assurance we know. I think these comments are coming up, though that is going to form the basis of our discussion on issues of the moment tomorrow.
Yeah.
But Lai Mohammed, the federal government are now talking through Lai Mohammed to say that nothing will stop it.
Yes. First, I will, like I did yesterday, I will give a recommendation, or I will actually commend the president for always having been firm and affirming and reaffirming that he will not be overstaying his term. Although he's term limited, he cannot stay beyond that constitutionally. And then I will also want to say this. You see, in Nigeria, there is a way media houses and practitioners carry reportage, and they become sensational. I think Honorable is also a media person. He can understand what I'm saying and can attest to that. The person who was representing the INEC chairman did not loosely say they will cancel or postpone the election. He said, if the security crisis continues in the manner it has been, that they may cancel elections in constituencies enough to affect the results of the election. And what does that mean? It simply means, for example, now 40 local government councils in Nigeria are under siege, are occupied by forces of Boko Haram, unknown gunmen, bandits, and what have you. About 40 of them. If you go to Kaduna, Southern Kaduna, many local governments there are occupied. If you go to Zamfara, the same thing. Even the state of the president, some of the local governments there are threatened that people do no longer feel safe to go about their businesses or to go about farming. Now, if, for example, we are having this election where we all agree that 3 of the candidates are likely or potential winners, if we have 40 councils without elections here, it may affect the outcome of the election probably. So, but I am thinking that the media house should have done better because some of them did not vote according to the text or the context. They quoted out of the whole thing. So what I expect INEC to do is to up the game. Now, why am I saying this? You see, before this election, INEC, 305 billion naira has been given to INEC to conduct this election. Now, in addition to that, INEC has leveraged the platforms it has. There is what it calls the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security. It involves the police, the army, the civil defense, all the security agencies, including the EFCC and the ICPC, to help them track people who are buying votes. So this is just the onus. It lies on INEC to make sure we have a secure election. And then again, I want to remind the current administration that during Jonathan's time, there were problems in Borno and the rest of them. He said they had a meeting. They said, let us shift the election and tackle this problem. They were able to tackle the problem, and then elections held in return. If we fail this, we have a serious problem. And again, I usually say this, you see, election cannot happen in environment devoid of peace, of stability. So it is, in fact, it should be the primary goal and assignment of the government, other stakeholders, to make sure that calm returns. Because as I speak now, places, even in Southeast, places like Olo, also, Oru West, Oru East, these are trouble spots. So what can we do to make sure people exercise their franchise and vote?
All right, elections cannot happen in places devoid of peace. All right, Honorable, before you take on that same issue, I want to join it with the Pan-Yoruba socio-political organization known as Afenifere that have insisted that the general elections remain sacrosanct, adding that nothing must be done to shift it. They are not talking about stopping the election,
even cancellation,
shifting it. Yes,
yes.
that's Afenifere.
Well, I think Nigeria should have overgrown this kind of situation. I don't know why we're still, trying to rigmarole and behave like toddlers. A system that has lasted for over 20 years. We are still saying it is nascent. We are still
nascent, and I don't like that.
I can't understand it. Why should anybody be? Why should the president? I don't understand. Why should the president be telling us, "Oh, I can't stay"? That statement alone means there is an undertone somewhere. Something is going on somewhere. Why should the president start telling us that he's not ready for third term? Should that even come up at all if we are really growing? Why should anybody be talking about postponing the election or cancelling the election? Why? What happened? What took place? If there is insecurity in certain areas of the country, he's the commander-in-chief. Bring your service chiefs together. Nobody can be stronger than the states. Just that we are treating this insecurity thing with kids' glove. If we are serious about it, want to face it head on. I want to tell you that Boko Haram will cease within a space of 48 hours. An American was kidnapped. American missionary was kidnapped in Nigeria. And 6 American soldiers came all the way from USA, came here and rescued that one person. Yes. America came for. One individual.
Yes. The SEALs.
And rescued him in Nigeria. So what are you saying here? And some people, big government officials, were kidnapped, abducted, the train attack and all that. And they were in captivity for over 2 months.
Yes.
You can imagine that, and people were paying cash in periods of
more than 10 months.
And somebody was collecting the money somewhere. And somebody was using phone calls to make a call. And a young boy just cajoled the wife of the president, and he was stressed and was arrested. You can imagine that. So what are you saying here? Until we are serious in this country, until we are ready to do a new thing, nothing new will come. So let us not, I don't like discussing those issues. Election will not hold, there must be an election. No, we should have. The person even said, and that was where I had problem with his speech. Whether he was speaking for the INEC chairman whom he came to represent or he said that it may precipitate. I'm putting him precipitate constitutional crisis. Do you know what that means?
in which case the constitution may collapse or the constitution may be suspended, and then we may have interim government or a military coup, or the president will continue.
I am not worried about anything.
These are the kind
let
of
them go ahead and rule laws.
They have to be careful
the way they want. If the military like, let them take over. If they like, let them rubbish the entire system. Let us start afresh. Everything will one day become history. Where is Idi Amin today? Where is Sese Sekou today? Where is Gaddafi today? Where are they? Where is Abacha today? They've all become history. So whatever thing you want to do in life, go ahead and do it. History, posterity will definitely bring you to the table.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN Olukayode Arewolu, on Tuesday vowed that judiciary on his watch will not be cowed into silence. Considering what has been happening in the Nigerian judiciary and the rule of law, Mr. Arewolu, who assumed office last June, lamented that the rule of law has been assailed from all fronts in this country, especially by those who are supposed to uphold and guard it jealously.
Let me ask you, Prof. Can the American Chief Judge address a group or a team of jurists, his colleagues, who are assigned to handle election matters? Can he tell them, if any of you collect money, I'll sack him? Can he?
Why not?
He can't.
He can't.
No, he can't. He can't do that.
The institutions are there.
Because it's very transparent, it's very clear. There is no on the table, you know.
Okay, in terms of transparency, yes, because they know they cannot.
That's what I'm saying.
Cannot do it.
That's what I'm saying.
Do you know that
judges that should be the conscience of the country, be addressed that way? It means we are in trouble.
That's exactly what he's saying.
So let me just tell you that how you lie your bed, how you make your bed is how you lie it. You understand? The judges and judicial officers have reduced themselves to that. They've turned themselves into moral politicians. So that is why at the end of the day, a politician will tell you, oh, the most important is to win your election first. Do everything to win your election. About the judge, don't forget about it. I know how to go about it.
Yes.
So if not, why should we be discussing this? You allow your opponent to do what he wants to do, because if he, cuts corner, goes through the window to win the election, the judiciary is waiting for him. But because they've turned themselves into a marketplace. It's a buying and selling thing where the highest bidder wins. So let us see what they're saying. Let's see what they're telling.
I think
the truth about this, as you also talked, the CGN was actually considering what has been happening lately in the Nigerian judiciary, the rule of law. When he said those who are supposed to uphold it, I'm sure he's talking. You know what happened between Nnamdi Kanu? Imagine it.
That's what I'm saying.
I was even coming to that issue of Nnamdi Kanu, but before I come to it, I will have to say this. You see, the rule of law has been wrecked, bastardized, and then made nonsense of under this dispensation. It began with the invasion of the House of Judges, and we thought it was a joke. It materialized to the invasion of House of Justice Mary, whose house was besieged. We thought it was a joke.
So-called sting operation.
We also sting operation.
2 a.m. in the morning.
We also how the establishment single-handedly sacked the Chief Justice of the Federation, and nothing happened prior to the election of 2019. Nothing happened. I said here yesterday, if you read EU reports, you will cry for this country. EU began their report with giving a background analysis of how that CJN was sacked, and trying to contemplate and trying to build a report on the Nigerian election. They talked about how the CJN was sacked, and they tried to establish that it may have been connected with the election.
And
then I'm coming to see, we live in a country where a court pronounces a judgment, a court of competent jurisdiction, and a court of coordinate jurisdiction will now pronounce a contrary judgment. We are having, as we go to this election, we are having candidates who are not even sure that they were elected, whose primary election may still be annulled. You understand? Or even the fight at the Supreme Court. And that is what will happen. Now, see, in Nigeria here, we saw how the eminently qualified Chief Justice was actually sacked, and in his place, we saw how the other man was put. Now, do you know what happened? Under this man, a memo leaked. I don't know if you remember, a memo leaked that the justice system is going down, and that the justices of the Supreme Court were not being paid what they were supposed to be paid, and that within the Supreme Court offices there, they don't even have lights, they don't even have no money for dessert, no money for power, and this man was supposed to be probed. The presidency or those who put him there arranged for his quiet exit. They gave me something
and gave him second highest honor of the land.
Yes, and now you ask yourself, and this is an position that is fighting corruption. So this is the kind of justice system we have. So if Ariwola says that the rule of law has been wrecked, he was available. He was there when it was happening.
He was not
he was a justice of the Supreme Court. You cannot be a CJN without being a justice of the Supreme Court. It is by hierarchy that the NCJ will recommend you to the president. So he was there.
And another big question should be now when the appeal court gave their verdict on
Nnamdi Kanu.
What did
the Attorney General chose to interpret the judgment the way it suits him.
Even what did the likes of
what do you mean that the Attorney General is stronger than the judiciary?
That is the problem, and that is why the National Assembly is saying split these offices into two. That office, please split.
I thank God that our children are watching. My son got admission in Unica to do law, and he's also watching. So,
all right, let us look at this. The Labour Party presidential candidate Peterobi said on Tuesday that Nigerians' presidential seat is too important to be used as a retirement benefit. I don't know who he's talking about, but I also want us to look at that the Nigerian presidential seat is too important to be used as a retirement benefit.
No doubt about it. You know what he's saying, because you can see that Buhari definitely got to the seat, and at the end of the day, he's retiring back home. You know, he's talking about getting somebody who still has what I can describe, somebody whose tomorrow is still out there, who can still come out and mix up with us, somebody who can also, you know, get together there.
A man that will not use our
so at the end of the day, Buhari will be retiring back to his house in Naura.
He has said
all things being equal, okay, and cannot function in any government office any longer. Cannot even be used anywhere. So we are talking about what he's trying to say is that we have to get fresh hands, younger people, like it is done in the Western world, where the French president is less than 45 years. You understand? You know, and so many other places.
Sometimes the likes of
so we need younger people this time around. I've been telling our youths, it is now or never. I've been warning everybody, I've been warning our youths. I wonder what anybody can tell me, no matter how good and how experienced Atiku and Tinubu are, there's no how we can compare the two.
Okay.
With the agility, with the intelligence and age.
Okay.
Of a peterobi.
Okay, comrade. President Muhammadu Buhari on Tuesday made a stunning revelation, saying he was an orphan, that he had no idea who his father was, and that he spent 9 years in a boarding school just to ensure that he acquire an education to enable him get enlisted into the Nigerian army. Yeah. That he was an orphan, and so what has this got to do? There are so many orphans.
Who is saying that?
Yes, the President Muhammad Buhari.
Which boarding school?
You see,
and where is the certificate?
You see, I have to say this. The president should do himself a favor,
and talk less and just
maybe get autobiographers and those who write about him. Get biographers, those who write about him when he is gone, or when now that he's still alive, than begin to serve for some of these things. I remember what the wife said. The wife said that the president is still traumatized, that the effect of the civil war, effect of the coup he suffered, the coup against him in 1983, where he was kept in detention for months, if not years. And yes, until his mother died, he was released, that these things still have effect on him.
Who didn't have the effect of the Civil War?
Yes, now
was involved in a coup,
yes,
was also charged.
Now the wife of the president was actually telling us that he had been managing, that she had been,
what is he saying?
She had been managing the president, and that we should also manage the president. Now the president is now going, and he made that statement. He even said, if not for education, he wouldn't have anything in the army. We know how some of them joined the army, he himself, and I want to talk about their state. And we know that even as far back as 1976, when Murtala Mohammed died, there was no military officer from the north who was of the rank of a general. The highest then was he himself and the late Sheikh Musa who were all lieutenant colonel. Do you know what? They had to promote Sheikh Musa 2 steps to become a brigadier, just to be the second man to Obasanjo. You understand? So when he said this thing, he should also tell us that he was also a product of what? Favor. He was favored. The modernization of the Nigerian civil service and the military was happening about 1960, 1961 when he joined the military. So he shouldn't have to take the picture as if he started from the scratch. Yes, we know he was an orphan, but it is more than that. What was he able to do for those who are like him today in the Nigerian system? Yes, what was he able to do? Did he create an environment that will help other orphans to thrive?
What is the meaning of an orphan?
I wouldn't know.
An orphan means you don't have a father, you don't
have a mother. Yeah.
Your mother died in 1985.
Yeah.
So how are you an orphan?
Yeah.
He's talking about he was fatherless. Today he's an orphan.
Yeah, today he's an orphan.
All right, let us look at this before we leave the stage. Ahead of the forthcoming presidential election, the chief whip of the Senate, Chief George Okalo, has alleged that the presidential candidates of the New Nigerian People's Party and the NNPP party, Kwankwaso and the peterobi, are all working for APC presidential candidate, the flag bearer, that is Bola Ahmed Tinubu, by dividing Southern votes.
You want me to discuss a man who talks in between? I don't want to discuss Ojika, because if I remember Ojika, if I remember he might get angry. Let me see how they not stone him. That's the picture he's painting. I came with my passport, just went to the immigration yesterday, so let Nigeria see it. If by 29th of May, peterobi is not declared president of this country, my brother, I have it. See it.
You leave.
Definitely. Because the two other candidates, the two other top contenders, Tinubu and Atiku, they have no message of hope for us. They have not told us anything.
What are the PDP person?
I'm a PDP in principle.
No,
I want a new Nigeria. I have to take a decision.
You see, I have something to say about what Ojo
Yes, what Ojo said, yes.
If Ojo Okalo is someone who understood political permutation very well, you know that if the vote of the South is being divided, it's against Tinubu, who is also from the South. Yes. Understand? It should be against Tinubu, who is from. But then I want to something to see, like he said, the Ojo Okalo speaks in between. This is the man. I want to tell you this. He said when Tinubu was warming up, declaring his interest to run for the top job, Ojo Okalo said if Tinubu declares, he will declare. Tinubu declared. Ojo Okalo did not declare openly as we had expected. He started supporting Lawan. He said if the power didn't go to northeast, a region he said he identified as not having had a stint at the presidency. He said if power does not go to northeast, it should be nowhere except the southeast. Ojo Okalo said that power should come to the northeast or to the southeast. So for that reason, he was supporting Ahmed Lawan, and that he is not contemplating. In fact, he will not be ashamed to go and sweep Aso Rock if Lawan wins and becomes the president. That he will not mind sweeping Aso Rock. I'm putting him. Now, after the primaries, Tinubu emerged. They know how they meet themselves, all these politicians. He went through the back or whatever, went at the back with him, to the extent of bringing Tinubu to his mother. And we saw how that panned out. This is the man who said if Tinubu contests, he even said that Tinubu has money. I also have money. He's my class of the 1999 governorship.
If Atiku wins the presidency tomorrow,
so this
is going to be the first person to visit him in another.
This is just
if Peterobi wins,
to me.
He will tell you, all of us met in London. We are friends.
To me, and I will tell you this. You see, to me, Many people in the establishment do not understand what was happening. They never envisaged it, that a man like Peter will be pulling this crowd, making these inroads in many places, so that to the extent that even polls conducted by research groups and rating agencies will tell you that Obi is leading here, Obi, where they never contemplated. They started saying it was 4 persons in one room tweeting. Now we've seen when they stormed Lagos, when they took to the street to campaign for Obi, and they did all these things out of volunteerism. So I should think that yes, we know where Obasanjo Carlos' bread is buttered, we know where his interest is, and we know that Obi has made it clear every time he spoke that he is seeking to retire people who have been in the establishment, who have been in the corridor for since 1999 and have contributed nothing to the economy.
And not also the president.
Yes, so and he has said, this man said he's not running because he's an Igbo. Even when the permutation seems to say it should be the Igbo, but he's saying, I'm not running because I am Igbo. I'm running because I want to be the president of Nigeria. And he said, if I fail, anyway, let it go see I'm campaigning for him.
Okay, please, before we leave, just in 20 seconds or 30 seconds, there are 2 things I want us to look at. One is, I don't think that Obasanjo Carlos is doing all these things. You know, his matter in the court, and even when he was sentenced, it's not yet over. That is 1. 2, Honorable, you are a member of the PDP, and also you were there when Abia operated on Mamacracy. Now, for Obasanjo Carlos to have taken a man like Tinubu to the mother, what is Obasanjo Carlos' mother political relevance in Nigeria?
Well, there's nothing wrong in the mother being a co-politician with the son, but we are Igbos, we are traditionalists. What we expected to see that in that very video clip should have been, oh, darling, come and meet the incoming president, so to speak. Okay. But what we saw was that, Mama, come and meet your visitor. So where is the wife? You know. So that is why we asked that big question. That is the style. There's nothing wrong in the mother, you know, having a family of everybody, politicians like it is in their family, where they will contest from PPA tomorrow, the next day it will be APP. So they will also be photocopying and re-photocopying political parties and all that. Good and fine family business. So I'm not worried about that. Here is Nigeria, and we've seen so far EFCC have done. We've seen so far the fought corruption. Whether everybody likes it or not, here is where you commit a thing that you will hand yourself over to the hangman in China or Malaysia. But down here in Nigeria, you hire lawyers, and you know, you don't give a damn. So I don't think he's doing anything because of the matter he has in court, because the matter definitely will also. John Yemen is out there. However, I was given a state pardon, even though he panicked himself into trouble because he saw Buhari. I think the man was ready to do anything.
He was the former
Joshua Draye or whatever, former plateau governor, is out of the hook. So even if tomorrow they sentence Oji, and the other man, my maternal uncle, Peter Adele, was given a perpetual injunction that nobody should investigate him, nobody should arrest him. So
nobody should arraign him.
So it's really funny. So that's it.
All right, our wonderful viewers, this is where we are going to draw the curtain for today. It has been Nigeria Today. Remember, tomorrow we are also going to come your way again with issues of the moment, and tomorrow we'll be looking holistically at INEC's threat to the nation, and also the new committee formed by INEC having decided that they're not going to use the university dorms this time around. We are going to explain that tomorrow, and I hope you'll be there to keep watching Living Television. And from my far left today is Honorable Tony Abanyam. Honorable Tony Abanyam, we are happy having you today.
Thank you. Go and get your PVC right away. Make some sacrifice. God bless you.
And Comrade Nnamdi Elekwachi, thank you for being part of today's program.
Thank you for having me here, and thank you for thanking me. Viewers, go and get your PVC.
And this is your anchorman, Chinedum Adele. Just keep watching Living TV. Remember, tomorrow is going to be another wonderful edition of your program, Issues of the Moment.